welcome back to my crafting channel. Today I am making something new. So I am kind of inspired by this Sonntag that I made. I have been wearing it and I really like it, but it made me think, could I make something that is similar, that is solid in the back and in the front? So instead of having these straps that crisscross, maybe I could mirror the back and have that as the front. And I was so excited because I thought I created something new, and then I realized, oh, well, that's kind of like a poncho, really. And so it's just going to be smaller than that, than a typical poncho would be. So this is kind of like a poncho and a Sonntag had a baby, and this is the result. That's kind of how I picture it in my head. And so what I want to do is I want to construct it in kind of the same way, only I'm going to start with less stitches so that it comes more to a point at the bottom, and then it will expand out to my shoulders that way. And when I get to the shoulders on this Sonntag, I did about 16, I think it was, rows to make it over my shoulder. And then I started the straps. Well, on this one, I plan to do about 8 rows, about half, because I want it to come up to the top of my shoulder. I also want it to be a little closer in because this one's quite wide and it doesn't really keep my neck warm. So I want something that comes a little bit closer into my neck. And then I will just make another one in the same way. And then I can attach the 2 pieces at the top up here. I can just sew them together or knit them together. And then I'll have one solid piece, but it will be the same in the front and the back. So that is my plan. I don't know how it's going to turn out, as usual. It's kind of how I do things on this channel. So as far as the yarn goes, at first I thought, oh, I'm going to have to wait till I can get some more wool yarn because I don't have enough. I didn't have enough left over from this to make something else. And so I thought I'm gonna have to wait until I get some more wool. And then it dawned on me that I have a whole basket of yarn. A lot of them are leftover yarns from other projects that is just sitting there doing nothing, waiting to be used. And so I thought, why don't I just use that? This is an experimental project anyway, so why don't I just use my scraps? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a garter stitch, and it will be kind of like a garter stripe. And then also I thought, oh, I'm going to have a lot of, loose ends to weave in. And that led me to think that, why don't I just have a fringe as my border instead of doing, a crochet border like I did on this one. I'll just have fringe on the edges. And I think that would be really cute. I think it would be really fitting for this very colorful garment that I'm going to make. And so I think this is going to turn out very interesting in the least, and so I hope that you will find it interesting as well.
I began by casting on just 3 stitches, and I increased 1 stitch per row. Therefore, this beauty grew quite quickly. I changed colors often and randomly to achieve the stripy look that I wanted. Time for some cozy knitting on the couch. My princess was happy to keep me company. So here is how it's looking so far. I really like it. It's very colorful and it is a very random, which is kind of what I'm going for here. And so I'll just kind of show you how I'm doing that. So I have all of my balls of yarn in a bag over here beside me, and I just pull out a yarn. This is the latest one I pulled out, and I just pull it out and work it into the color I'm working on. And then I'm kind of doing it the way I did my hand towels back in the fall, where this is the new color and this is the old color. That's what I'll call them. And so this has been my old color, and now I'm going to incorporate this color. And then as I go, this one will drop off and this will become my new color. And then I'll add another color. And I'll just keep going in that way. That's what I've been doing here to get this kind of pattern. Now, if I like the color, I'll do several rows of it. If it's a color I don't love or I don't love at the moment, like this bright blue, I did not know how I was going to fit this blue into this project because it didn't go with any of these colors, at least in my mind. But as I started working with it, I was like, I'll just do one row. And after I got the one row in there and then I picked another color, I was like, it's not that bad. It actually pops and makes it really quite interesting. The same with this red down here. And now I'm going to put this red and this orange together, or this rusty color. I don't know how that's going to really look together, but we'll see. I've had some really fun surprises, like this pink and this color. I would have never put those two colors together if I hadn't just done it by random. I might have put the blue and the gold. That looks really nice together. But to put this with this pink, and this pink is a variegated yarn, so this is part of that ball. Let me see if I can find it and I'll show it to you. This one, my daughter picked this out a long time ago, and I made her a sweater out of this, and I had this left over, and I don't love this red color here. Oh, nope. But these two colors are fine. But it's kind of funny because it's such a short row. The pink looks like it's its own yarn, you know, in it of itself, because the variegation is not coming through because it's just such a small area that I'm knitting. And so I've also been tying them off when I add a new color. So I'm going to add, that's what I was going to do. I was going to add the red. So I'll show you how I do that. It's pretty easy. I mean, I'm going to hold it here, but I will tell you, the reason I'm showing it to you is because I've kind of learned some things as I did this and thought it might be helpful. If you were interested in doing something like this, it might be helpful for you too. So I'm going to do the increase here, and then I'm going to grab this. Well, I can't grab it. I'm going to hold on to this red yarn because that's the yarn I'm going to be using. And it's going to be loosey-goosey at first. And then I'm going to get 2 or 3 stitches into it. And then I'm going to tighten it up. And I'm going to go ahead and, okay, I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull this thread. And I can go ahead, is that one cut? Wait, there it is. That one is the one I'm going to cut. So I will go ahead and cut that. I'm leaving them pretty long. I can always trim them up later. I don't want them to come out though. And then now I have the red. So I'm going to tie those two together in a square knot, very carefully not to lose my stitches there. But I'm using wooden needles so they don't fall off so easily. And I'm going to tie this gently. I'm not going to tie it tight. I can tighten them up later, but I was tying them afterwards, after I got to the end of the row, and then my stitches were here on this little, you know, plastic bit here. And when the stitches were here and I would pull it to tie it, it was tightening up that stitch too much. And so I have just started tying those immediately. Just put my work down and tying it. And then I'll just knit across here, of course, to the other side. And then I can add my rust back in. That's probably what I'm going to do here, because this red is a very bold color. And like I was saying before, I may only want one row of red, and then I might put the rusty color aside and pick another color to go right after the red. Okay, now we'll kind of see how that looks. I can kind of put it up against this to see what it would look like together. I think these colors work well together. They look nice. They're kind of very similar in color. I'm trying to decide if I want to just start a new color, if I want to do more with my red. You can see here I only did one row of red. And I do like that. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a new color. If I wanted to add this back in, I would just add it in the same way I did before and tie those two strands together. So let's put this aside. Now I'm not going to put it back in my bag until I pick another color. So I'm going to dig around in my bag here. Now I'm going to close my eyes and kind of dig around. I try to get to the bottom and try to pull something like way out of the bottom. Let's see, what have I got? I've got this one. Okay, I'm going to use this one again. Do you see this one right here? I have not used this at all yet. I have not picked it at all. That's how it goes when you do things random. Okay. Sorry for moving you around, but that's the best I can do at the moment. Now, this color can go back in the bag. So I will throw it back in there and kind of shake up my bag and leave it there. And then I'll add this color. I think this will be really pretty with the red. Okay, make sure I don't lose my stitches here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my work. Get it ready. I'm not going to cut this until after I add that new thread. And because I am slipping a stitch, I'm going to push some of these stitches up and hold on to that all at the same time. Okay, it's a lot to hold on to here in the beginning. There we go. And now I'm going to hold that blue there and catch it. And voila. Now let's do a few stitches. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to kind of push those up a little, give me some assurance. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim off the red. And I'm going to tie these two together and keep working. And this is how I've been doing it so far. So let me know what you think about this project. Do you like how it looks? Now, everybody's colors would be different because everybody would probably have different colors in their scrap pile. But I think these kind of things just turned out really interesting. Now, I have done this in the past, and it's kind of tricky for garments because sometimes I'll make something that's very colorful, and I love how it looks, and I love how maybe the yarns look together, and then after I make the thing, and I put it on, and then I realize that it's just way too much. Too much color, too bright, or too much. And I really hope that this doesn't end up that way. Because I will tell you, I have a few things in my closet that I can't bear to get rid of because I worked really hard to make them, but I don't like the fact that they're like, whoa, you know? So I found that when I'm making garments for myself that I will look for like neutrals and I will stick to a solid color, things like that. I try to remember like what would I buy in the store? If this was already pre-made, what color would I buy? And so I try to think about that when I'm buying my yarns. But for this project, this is just something I'm wearing over my clothes. So it's kind of like a scarf or something else like that. And I don't mind colorful accents like that in my clothing. So I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy this. It's feeling really, really nice. It's really thick. And I am using mostly acrylic I had a lot of cotton, but I didn't want to use it for this project. So these are all mostly acrylic. I think they're all acrylic actually. But the texture, I mean, the thickness of this, it's very thick. And it's going to be very warm. So I'm kind of excited about that. I really like it. It's very soft because this one's not that soft, but these shiny ones like this is by Yarn. All of these are Yarn Bee. I love Yarn Bee. I pretty much buy most of my, like if I'm going to buy acrylic, I usually buy it from Yarn Bee. Sometimes Yarn Bee will have other things. They used to have some wool ones that had a little bit of wool in them, but not really a lot. But I do like that company. Their stuff is usually pretty soft. It's very well plied and twisted, and it's not splitty usually. So I find it to be pretty good quality, so for the price that it is. Okay, so I'm going to just keep working here, and I'll come back when I have some more progress done, probably when I get up to the shoulders. Okay, I have made my way all the way up to my neckline. So this end piece down here comes about down to my waist. And then this is coming up to about where like most of my shirts on the neckline is on my shirt. I hope that makes sense. So that's about how long I want it. Now what I need to do is I need to figure out the center point of these stitches. Because I've been increasing, I don't know how many stitches that I have on my needles right now. So I need to count my stitches and find the middle point. Hopefully it's an even number of stitches on here. If it's not an even number of stitches, then I'm going to knit one more row with an increase so that it will be an even number. And because I want like the same amount of stitches on each side. And after I do that, then I can move on to finding the shoulders. So I thought I would do this with you guys on camera, because last time I did it on camera, but I didn't really show or explain it very well, I think. And so I thought if you're trying to make this too, you might find this information helpful. So that's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to count all my stitches. Now, the way I count stitches, I'm going to turn it this way so it's a little closer to me. The way that I count my stitches is to make it a little bit faster. What I do is I'll take like 2 and 3 to make 5. So I'll just say 2, 3, that's 5, 2, 3, 10, 2, 3, 15. And so that's how I count all the way around. It's a little bit faster than just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know. I mean, with that said, there is a chance of error, but there is no matter how you count, I think. So makes it a little bit faster. So here we go. Okay, I have 34 stitches, so yay, I have an even number. Now to count across and mark my midpoint. 66, 67. Now I'm going to put my marker right here. Hopefully I can get it in here without needing a crochet hook. There we go. I'm going to tie it gently in a little, kind of a little knot here. I'll tie a little bow. Okay, now let me count these stitches. I want to make sure I got it right. So it should be 67 over here too. 65, 66, 67. Perfect. Okay, so now I have my midpoint right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it up on my body and kind of see where I want the neck to fall. So I kind of need to stretch out these stitches because they're so bunched up on here, and hopefully I can do that without losing them. Let's put a couple, if I can get them out of my bag here. Let's put a couple of these on there. Have some little stitch markers here, just in case. But I want the middle to not be all bunched up because that might affect, you know, how it turns out. So I don't care if the shoulders are bunched up, but I don't want this mid part here. I want it to be relatively flat, like it's going to be when it's off the needles. Okay, so let me go try it on. Okay, I'm just going to pretend that this is the front here. And so I'm going to lose my ball of yarn. That's okay. So I want this to come about right here, but then I want it to curve. Of course, the shoulders are going to curve over this way. So I'm going to kind of measure it here with my shirt in mind. Let me fix my shirt because it's crooked. So let's do it like that. Okay, now I'm going to put this midpoint right here. I'm going to try to line it up right here with the middle of my shirt, middle of right under my chin, and that's about where I want the neck to sit. So let's see. If I want to line it up with these shoulders, like with this shirt, which is fine with me, I'm going to come down about right here. I'm only going to measure one side and then I'll just count the stitches and then mark the other side. So looking at this side, here's my shirt here. I'm just going to kind of draw a line straight down, and that's about where I want my shoulder to be. So I'm going to pinch that right there. And then now I'm going to count my stitches from, probably easier, from the midpoint to right there. And then I'll do the same on this side and I'll mark it. And then in between, in the middle of those two markers, then I can bind off this edge right here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do next. After binding off the neckline, I worked the shoulders by knitting 10 rows without any increasing. And I made the other half in the exact same way. Next, I wanted to add more fringe to the edges, as it looked a little sparse. I measured my yarn by holding it up to the edge, and then I doubled the length and cut several strings of yarn to get me started. Then I used a crochet hook to pull the yarn through, where I tied the yarn using a square knot. Look at how much better that looks. It just looks so much more full. This took me all morning to do, but well worth it. Now I just need to trim up the obviously long yarn strands.
Okay, I have the two pieces put together here. So this is the back and this is the front. I am going to stitch the shoulder here across. Now, typically when I do things like this, I don't do anything fancy. I just take the chain stitches, because that's kind of what this is bind off up here. It's just kind of like a row of chains. And I typically just kind of work them together, and that's what I'm gonna do here. I know there's lots of ways to bind things like this, but I find the way that I'm going to do it here, probably, I don't know if it's the easiest. It's the easiest for me. And it's kind of what I've always done, and so I just keep doing it because, I mean, it works. It might not look the prettiest, but it works. Okay. So I'll thread my needle. I'm just using a darning needle. It's a blunt end, in case you're curious. And I want these edges to really come together nicely. And since my tail is coming out of this one over here, I'm going to take it through this stitch here. I'm going to take it through that chain, and I'm going to put it through this chain over here. It's kind of a mess because it's kind of pulled in and tied. So I'm going to go through the whole thing to start off. Okay. Then I'm just going to come through here. Now I'm going through the top of that chain. I'm going to go through the top of this chain. If you can see that. So there's like a stitch here and then there's a stitch there. And I'm going through the inside chains. And I'm going to pull my thread through. And then I'm going to go back the other way. Actually, it's not the inside chains, it's the outside chains. I'm sorry. So if you can see here, I'm coming out of that one. So you have the two here that make the stitch. I'm going to go through that one, and then you have two here that make a stitch. So I'm going to go through that one. So the inside stitch will just be pulled to the inside. I feel like that gives it a sturdier, I don't know, sewing, because I've done it before where I have done the inside of this one and the inside of this one, and it's just too thin, and sometimes it can work itself apart. So I don't want that happening. So now I'm going to come back through that one and through that one. And from now on, it's just rinse and repeat until I get to the end of my row. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So see, it'll just look like that, and it just kind of blends in. So you can see here where it's open, and it just kind of blends in. I think it looks fine like that. And it feels nice. It doesn't feel,
bumpy or anything. It's just I don't know. It's just a nice way to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just keep finishing doing that, and then I'll do the other side. Okay, I have finished sewing them together, so let's kind of open it up and see kind of what this neckline looks like. So here is the hole for the neck, and as you can see where I stitched it, it's a little bit, it kind of sinks in a little bit there, and this stitch right here is a little bit stretched, same way over here, and the same way over here. And so what I want to do is I want to put some kind of neck on here. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a crocheted edge for my neck or if I want to do like a little short rib. I don't know. I think I'm probably will end up crocheting it. That's what I typically do. But I'll fold it out so you can kind of see it now. So there we go. It's kind of a strange looking neck. First of all, I'm going to try it on and see if I can get it over my head. I think I will because it's, it's going to stretch. Look at that. It stretches very easily. But I do kind of want something around here. First, I'm going to try it on. Oh yeah, it's plenty big. It looked small there, but it's plenty big. Oh yeah. Oh, I like it. Back. Oh, I think it's really cute, but I do want to add something to this neckline. Let me move back so you can see the bottom. Oh, I really love it. Oh my gosh. I'm really happy with it. Okay, so now what to do with this neckline here. I do want it to come in quite a bit more because I want it to be more warm. So, should I do a crocheted edge like I did on my Sontag, or should I do like a ribbed band? Oh, I can't decide. I'm gonna have to think about it for a minute. While I was thinking, my husband came and asked me if I had looked outside. We were having extreme winds, and I first thought that there might be a fire. After slightly panicking for a second, I realized it was just dust. Yes, dust had blown in from West Texas and blanketed our happy abode. Luckily, it didn't last long. It started to settle down after a few hours. Let's get back to work now. I decided I would crochet the neck after all, using a single crochet stitch. Okay, I finished the collar and I really like how it looks. I think I did about 7, maybe 8 rows. I kind of lost count. And I also did some shaping on these edges because you know how it was very squared. And I did that just by decreasing on these corners here. And also as I went around to make it kind of curved so it will lay flat, hopefully, when I put it on. Okay, there it is. I really like that neck on there. That just finished it off, I think, and really made it look nice. It's kind of crooked.
But I love it. I think it's very colorful. It's very cute. It's just like a small poncho. Oh, so fun. I don't usually make things this colorful, but it's just fun to have something like this every once in a while. And I used up so many of my scrap yarn skeins, so that's fantastic too. Win-win.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video will inspire you to experiment with your leftover yarn as well. Please consider subscribing to my channel for more crafting videos if you haven't already. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Thursday. Bye!